and thank you so much for joining us for your ROH post-show and your TNA post-show on the back end of this. We thank you so much for joining us a little bit later of a start due to a very full episode. Some great, some very superfluous, like unnecessary, but hey, it's more free wrestling. And we're going to talk all about it. I'm, of course, joined by SP3. SP3, how you doing?
I am doing well on this Thursday evening, as I always am when I'm talking Ring of Honor with Kate here. Always a fun Thursday. Nice way to end my Thursday here as we touch tips for all the tip touchers in the world.
Look, between them and EJ and Nduka saying, like, online that if you want to be very demure, very mindful, we tune into ROH. He doesn't show up with half-assed offense. He doesn't come in looking like a clown at work. Like EJ, killing it tonight. But we're going to talk about all that and more. We invite you to get in your super chats like this. Thank you so much, Taylor. Like, always the best. This guy just genuinely always like, hey, I'm just going to be kind and supportive in this world. Like this chat. Hello, Kate and SP3. Hope you both had a great day. Buddy, I had a good day today. I have not slept the past 2 nights, so I was tired. I have no idea how SP3 was awake through this one, because there was a lot of extra stuff on here. But
I was struggling. I was struggling after like the 6 squash match that I saw on the show.
It's true. It's true. You're also 5 hours ahead right now because you're going to be going to All In, right?
Yes, I just got my ticket today. I'm going to say it on the next platform I'm doing this on. Said it on True Hill Heat earlier. Thanks to Sat E. Nyangi, because AEW doesn't like me and never accepts my media applications, even though I sent it back in March, April. They don't care. But Sati Nyangi hooked me up with his connect, and I am going to All In and possibly sitting on the floor. So I'm gonna be on the floor and crying tears of joy when I hear Final Countdown for possibly the last time.
Oh my gosh, I would be absolutely sobbing, but they might not accept your media credential, but they do accept our ideas here, because we bullied Mark Briscoe into the main event. We bullied them into giving Trish Adora a match tonight. So some good developments on here. A lot of fluff in here too. This was not 2 hours of ROH story told wrestling. It was 1 hour of that stretched into a 2-hour episode. But considering we used to get 0 minutes of meaningful stuff, I will kind of take this. That's not an insult to the incredible talent. That's an insult. That's not meant to be an insult at all, but that's supposed to be a criticism of the booking that we've gotten to this point. But the talent showing out tonight, as always, showing out even more so when they have these stories to support SP3. And before we dive in, and I know we're running a little bit behind, but I do think we got to touch on this Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara development that happened before going into this episode. Dustin Rhodes now holding 2 titles. I love Dustin Rhodes. I think he is what you want a legendary wrestler to be. I think he moves way better than he should at this stage of his career. Genuinely. Like, yeah. I can't move that way at my age, and I'm young enough to be the man's daughter. So God bless him on that front. Him holding 2 titles on what's essentially a developmental program feels like a bit much to me. That is not what I feel like needs to happen to move this product in the right direction. I continue to go back to the fact that I feel like it undercuts the efforts of your tag teams and trios that have already been there. Now, I will say, if this is supposed to be like a fresh start month, and this is the baseline, and it's going to be used properly, that works. We have yet to see someone from the AEW main roster come down. I keep getting told that these main roster send-downs are to put over younger talent that are going to be developing in the ROH. They just get handed off to someone else from the AEW main roster. I have yet to see a productive use of that at all. So if I'm down on it, it has nothing to do with Dustin. I think this is great for Sammy Guevara. We're going to talk about that in a second. But man, it bummed me out. It bummed me out on Saturday because I want to see the hard work of the wrestlers that we see every week on this program pay off somehow. And when you have someone who is taking up that much oxygen, I'm nervous it's not going to get used productively because it hasn't yet. It could be great. It has the potential to be excellent, but I have yet to see them follow through on that, which is why I was down on that decision, SP3. But what did you think? Are you more optimistic about this than I am?
No, but I do have issues with this in a different matter
Okay.
because I've been told from time to time doing this whole podcasting content creation thing that maybe I am a little bit of a match merchant. I like my in-ring matches. I like to see some great in-ring wrestling, but I do love storytelling, and I'm a big proponent of storytelling, and I think storytelling can happen in a great matchup, and those are usually the matchups that I enjoy the most. But if you're telling a story, give yourself time to tell the story. Do not have Sammy Guevara come back 2 weeks ago. Then he does a promo on Collision, the first time he's appeared on Collision since his suspension, where he tells Dustin, hey, I want to earn your trust. I want to, team up with you. And then the next time I see you on that same show, they tell me this is only the second time y'all have teamed together. And you win the ROH tag team titles.
Pretty quick way to earn trust. Yeah, you did not
Jesus,
do the legwork at all.
Like Jesus Christ, it's like they always have the right idea at the wrong time, a lot of time. And like you said, we're not criticizing any of these wrestlers. Like Dustin Rhodes, I think he's a valuable member of the roster,
Sure.
and I can also understand that he's in a contract year, and this could be a way for Tony Khan to be like, hey, you see everything I'm doing for you? I want you to be a double champion. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, where he is 55 years old in a developmental brand, and now he has 2 titles. And you're always a big proponent of the champions being around and the champions being involved in story. And now you are consolidating 2 titles into one person's story. And that is an issue within itself. But all I want them to do is just tell the stories over some time. Yeah. Don't do a 2-week storyline where the payoff happens. Yeah, that's hot shot booking. That's hot shot booking at its best. That's not storytelling. That is rushing. And I'm gonna say a lot on this show. Sometimes, Tony Khan, less is more. Do not give me a 13-match show where 70% of the matches are squashes. But the time to not use that advice is with a story. Do not say less is more and with say 2 weeks.
Story. Mm-hmm.
2 weeks. Here you go. Here you go. Fine. You're the champions. It does, and I do agree with your other point that it does undercut Top Flight, who we were talking about for weeks now. They've been built up as undefeated in Ring of Honor, and they could have been the team that really benefited from the 9-month run of Undisputed Kingdom by dethroning them for the tag team titles. The Infantry that had an established rivalry with the Undisputed Kingdom since last year and had 2 title attempts, and they came up short with that, and they could have got that next round with them. You could have had a tag team that has been on AEW for 5 years now without a victory, like Private Party, come down to Ring of Honor and dethrone Undisputed Kingdom. Like, you have multiple people on this AEW roster that could have benefited from the 9-month run of Undisputed Kingdom and dethroning them of that, besides Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, who have a total of 2 tag team matches as a duo. And Sammy Guevara just got back here 2 weeks ago, Mike.
No, and to your point, you're focusing on the tag picture. Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs. Like, Dustin has won 2 titles in, less than a month? In a month's time? And the Von Erichs weren't even, really around this promotion until then. So now it's happened with 2 divisions, and that's very frustrating because you mentioning Top Flight, you mentioning, who else were we talking about? The infantry. Like, these teams, we're also now talking about the Iron Savages, right? We're also now talking about Shane Taylor Promotions, even though Lee has something. Like, what are we doing with STP? Good stuff, I think, going into it, but, Ogogo's not here. I think he might be on paternity leave. Hope that's the case. I think I saw he might have had another baby. But him and Mark Briscoe can do some really fun promos together at some point, I guess. But I think I think if this is supposed to be an establishing baseline so that young talent can thrive off of this, that is good. If this is going to be more of the same, I'm not going to be able to tell my boss that we should continue to do this show. Like, genuinely. Because this is the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And there's not anything to review on an overarching basis if they don't change the way that they're operating. Like, genuinely. Because it's just, oh, cool. Main roster guy to main roster guy to not be around. Now, I will say they've done a better job of having champions present. We're going to talk about that as well. So, get in those super chats. We've got a lot to unpack in this. We have a normal amount to unpack in this, but we have a lot to talk about, if that makes sense. We're going to zip through some of those squashes because there's just not a lot to say about it. But we got this opening video package with a recap of Sammy Guevara and Dustin's win, which we just talked about. And of course, Ian and Caprice welcoming us into this opening match, which is Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and the Von Erichs versus the Undisputed Kingdom and the Dark Order. This was a much longer match. I'm liking that at least the matches that we do have story for are getting time. We have like a really solid thing going here with all these overlapping pieces and how they're intertwining. This at least made sense that all these guys were on the same side of things. But you get the pinfall, the Iron Claw Slam from Marshall Von Erich on Silver for the win. Very happy that the Dark Order is getting used more frequently and with some consistency, because that is so long overdue. Really tough week for Evil Uno, man. Uno's getting his ass kicked on Dynamite. He's getting taken out here. This is rough, but this was a really fun match. And if the idea of Sammy Guevara being here is to reestablish himself outside of the shadow of Chris Jericho, thank God for that. I think this is something that's going to succeed. He is a very good babyface. That is like a hot take for some reason, but I genuinely think he's a very good babyface. He has a moveset that crowds love with his ability to pull off those incredible, like, anything high-flying he can do. He also has a good base when he's allowed to show it. Like, he is a very fundamentally sound wrestler as well when they lean into that stuff. He understands the psychology of a babyface fight comeback. Like, that's been extremely clear very early on in this return for him. I think he's really good as a face. I think he is actually more inclined to that. And I think it being in a tag team allows the flashier stuff he does to be contrasted against something, which is always good because it makes the hot tag side of things more interesting. And it's less pressure on the mic. Like, I feel like there was so much of why he's felt ill-defined in the AEW ROH umbrella has been, there's been times where it felt like they didn't know if he was a face or a heel. And they never found anything that quite clicked with them without being under, like, we joke about the Jericho vortex, but it's freaking real. Like, this guy's career has felt stuck in a different gear than he's capable of because of it. So I think this is succeeding in the reestablishment of Sammy Guevara so far. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. But other than that, this was a fun 8-man. I like the Iron Claw Slam because I feel like the claw just feels like you're actually palming a basketball. Like, that never feels very intimidating to me. So the slam with it is good to me. But what did you think of our opener?
Whereas the great old Kaun calls it the Eliminator. That's his finishing move. So I appreciate Marshall Von Erich for spreading the gospel of the great old Kaun out here in the street. Marshall Von Erich, I say it every week. He impresses the hell out of me. He did a busted out a moonsault in this matchup. Like I said, he's rough around the edges, but you could see the potential in him every time out. So I like that he busted out the moonsault, that he got the win in the matchup. His size is there, his presence is there. He's really developing before our eyes. So I love seeing Marshall Von Erich here. And you're absolutely right about Sammy Guevara. Like, he's a great hot tag in this tag team. And Dustin Rhodes is a great babyface in peril. He's basically very much a 2024 Ricky Morton. where he could just get beat up. He's very sympathetic. The fans are like, get behind him. I said a couple of weeks ago in that matchup with the Dark Order when he went down on his knees and the crowd gasped like, oh my God, not Dustin, especially in Arlington.
Tell a story. Like
in Arlington, his selling is excellent as a babyface and building up to the hot tag. And Sammy is so fast. He has that body control. He has a very crowd pleasing offense. He just has to keep his mouth shut and keep his tongue in his mouth, and he'll be fine. And I think that this was, a pretty fun way to kick off the show.
This is a really well articulated way to describe Marshall. He has beautifully ugly moves. I love that because here's the thing. It's not going to be for everyone. It's just not. There are some people out there that need things to look clean and pretty all the time. And then there's people who like it when it looks like a fight. Like, I like that when an Eddie Kingston has like beautifully ugly moves is great because it looks like he's trying to win a fight. He still has a little bit of a way to go to convince me that it's always because of violence. Like some stuff just looks rough and not because it's intended to hurt, which is the way that I like that style to look. Like it may not be the prettiest, but it's because it's doing more damage. But they're a young growing tag team. They've got this, and that is very nitpicky. So we, if that's what we're complaining about compared to what we've complained about on this show before, I will take it. But guys, get in those super chats. We'll remind you that the TNA Impact post show is on the other side of this with Cresta and Joel. Plenty to talk about there for sure. We'll also remind you to leave a thumbs up on this video and to subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. We appreciate 115,000 strong, trending in the right direction on that always. And we'll also remind you, I didn't tell you at the beginning of the show because more of you always filter in and then I always repeat myself. But we'll remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com as well. Oh boy, there's a lot coming to FightfulSelect.com. Ricochet officially confirmed by Fightful Select as a part of the AEW roster. We were all waiting for that one. Looking forward to seeing what he's going to do under the AEW umbrella. That Warder deal is inching closer and closer. Guys, you're going to want to stay subscribed. Fightful Select reporting that number looks to be double what the original AEW deal was, or somewhere in that ballpark, which is extremely exciting news if you're a wrestling fan for the right reasons. Tony Khan out there in his Max hat. We're loving it. We are loving what wrestling is giving us right now. But subscribe to Fightful Select. Get it directly from the source. It's $5 a month. It'll save you so much frustration around the bad faith weirdos on the internet. You also get the Fightful Select Discord if you want to talk to normal people. The Ask SRS channel. Like, ask him a question, he'll answer it. It's a pretty valuable resource. He'll also just drop scoops in there sometimes to keep you all on your toes and get you to subscribe to that as well. So stay tuned to Fightful Select. It's going to be a very big week with All In coming up. And we will move on from here. Let's jump ahead a little bit. There's a couple of promos I'm going to pair with the matches themselves since we had so many squashes today. But we get Cage of Agony, Brian Cage, Bishop Kaun, and Toa Liona. So underrated with how smooth both those guys are, Kaun and Liona. Defeating Atlantis Jr., Serpentico, Fuego via pinfall here with that drill claw from Cage onto Serpentico. This was good. The established trio should always beat the trio of guys thrown together. I'm a big believer of that, especially when one of them is a champion in a singles picture. This is another thing that felt kind of superfluous. I get wanting to keep Cage of Agony strong. Could they fight a six-man that also might have a say in the six-man title picture? Like, the Righteous and Lance Archer facing them, I felt like would have made a whole bunch of sense here. Like, things like that is still some fine-tuning that I think could be maybe manipulated a little bit better. Also understanding that this is the end of the Texas taping, so they were probably throwing whatever they had edited against the wall here. But a really fun match, a huge collision of styles, obviously, with something like this. But SP3, what did you think of what we got?
This was fine. I'm okay with it, with Atlantis Jr. being in here if it's leading to Brian Cage getting an opportunity at the TV title. So it makes sense to me there. The only thing that didn't make sense to me is on commentary, I believe, Caprice and Ian. And I usually don't complain about Caprice and Ian. They're one of the best commentary duos out there. But I think they said that Fuego del Sol is coming off of a winning streak. And I'm like, last time I saw him, he lost to Johnny TV. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah, they're the best in the game. So unless Fuego's been racking up wins on the Indies, God bless him. But that is was not the case here. Who knows what this could have been edited out of order, whatever. But uncharacteristic mistake of our favorite commentators, or at least my favorite commentators in the whole wide world. But yes, Fuego has not had like a ton of momentum behind him going into this, except for the momentum, of course, of the Tornado DDT. So some good stuff there, but some terrifying stuff, SP3. As there are bears walking around backstage, not even with Big Josh, nobody to rein those bears in, but we get the MxM Collection, Mansoor and Mason. God, I love these guys. Calling out anybody who's willing to face them tonight, and the Pillars of Destiny interrupt, and as they are posed, Mason Madden, obviously an outdoorsman and a nature specialist here, says, like, don't move. He knows what the bears react to in this situation. And they end up in a fight. They end up in a fight later. They are less bears in the match than they are in this promo. But, God, these guys are fun. And then quickly going into the match, Hunter Gray and Paul Titan lose via the centerfold on Titan. Really fun spot in this match where Mason drops down and Mason drops down with a pose, I should mention. And you get Mansoor just somersaulting over the top rope and taking out the Pillars here. Feel free to touch tips in the chat. I know that has been invading every post show I do. I absolutely love it. It's so much fun to have something like this where people are just latching onto it no matter where I go, like confusing the WWE crowds. Like, we are having a blast with this. Everybody's touching tips here. Super, super fun thing. Man, and it's really fun because on Collision we got that new finisher debuted, and I was bummed that they didn't have it protected. Like, Darius didn't come in to break the pin. Dante just got out of that, like, bridging choke slam suplex, whatever the hell. Like, that was crazy. And it was like a doomsday suplex choke slam. Like, it was a bridging doomsday choke slam, we'll call it. It was so cool. But people are getting to see what they can do in the ring, and I thought, especially in this, Mansoor looked so smooth up front early in this match as well, which is awesome to see. But what did you think of our promo and this match?
My favorite part of the matchup is when they did a full runway of honor walk up the ramp, did their pose, and then angrily went down and did the double spear. That was a lot of fun.
My God, when I tell you Mansoor's face went from to, like, instantly, I was howling.
Spectacular stuff. So as always, really good promo. Love the Pillars of Destiny and Mason treating them like bears. Like, don't move. They smell fear. And then he says, "Oh my God!" When they leave, he says, "Cheese and rice." Oh, that popped me so much.
Cheese
oh my
and
God,
rice, like the most boring burrito at Taco Bell. My God.
Cheese and rice. But yeah, the centerfold looked good. Good win for MxM here. And I want to see more from them on AEW, ROH. Put them on everywhere because they deserve it right now. The best characters. Two of the best tag team act in wrestling right now.
It's so funny because there's always going to be people who say you hated it in WWE and you love it in AEW, or that they stole this idea from WWE even though it was their idea or whatever. Like, there's always going to be people like that. But seeing the upgrade and, like, my complaint when it was in WWE was it didn't translate to the ring. Now we know that they never had the opportunity to translate it to the ring properly.
Exactly.
Because Vince McMahon wanted it to be serious male modeling. But when you see the cleverness play out in the ring, it's so much fun. Not even just the poses, but like the spot on that Rampage episode where everybody was showing butts. Layla Gray and Mason was, and Mandy had to choose. Like, these moments of getting to see the storytelling translating to the ring, like, there's cleverness and a wit to it as opposed to a goofiness to it. And, like, to me, there's a really, really big difference. And I like goofy sometimes. And this is incredibly silly, but it's intelligent silly, which is not always the case in wrestling. And it's translated beautifully, in my opinion, so far. But Shea
I'm enjoying
Monster
it.
chiming in saying, TMDK SP36 Mafia. ROH oddly lacking ladies tonight. Yeah, I was going to talk about that in a little bit, but I feel like this was just an whatever's in the kitchen sink episode with the Texas tapings wrapping up. But Marina as a calculating bully just works here. More quiet assassin menace. Her facial expressions, we could talk about her squash real quick because that's what it was, and the super chat dictated that, so I'm fine with that. But it was really good. Like she's growing into the character a little bit more here, and to see her kind of pause and take those beats. I think I said last time she went to the Britt Baker School of Finding the Hard Cam. She's like kind of really translating her character in a way that we haven't seen before. But she beats TR James with the Mother's Milk submission, which has been unbeatable so far. Super fun submission, super fun name with it. TR James, nicely put over by commentary here with her New Japan background and stuff like that. Love to see that. But a good little squash there. What did you think?
Yeah, they even let TR get some offense in on Marina, which I'm not usually used to. So, yeah, I think that Marina Shafir's character is coming along, and we're seeing her actually develop in what's supposed to be developmental brand here. So it's nice to see. I want to see her get involved in a story or pair up with somebody, because her as this kind of like quiet assassin menace, I think would work better with someone like Talia Valkyrie. Her being like the muscle to go along with an act like that might be what she needs to take that next step.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, this was a squash, and it wasn't even close to the squashiest squash on the show. So.
No, there was a lot of squashes that I'm probably only going to have one sentence about. So I want to take this time to get Kate's reaction. Excuse me, I said Kate. I mean TMD Kate, because this is our first time talking since Zack Sabre Jr., the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister of New Japan Pro Wrestling, won the G1 Climax 34 tournament with 2 spectacular matches, tapping out Shingo Takagi and Yota Tsuji to become the first British wrestler to win the NJPW G1 Climax tournament, the second Gaijin to win the tournament after
Crazy.
Kenny Omega in 2016. How did you feel? Kate?
There is nobody, and I mean this in a really positive way, whose wrestling has ruined my sleep schedule more than Zack Sabre Jr. I will stay up till 5 a.m. if that man has a shot at winning something of value. And that's exactly what I did. Same with his Wrestle Kingdom match against Danielson. Like, I didn't think they were going to do it. I was like, resigned myself to the fact that it'd be Tsuji, not only for the fact that Gaijins don't win the G1, but he already beat Naito earlier in this and all of these things, right? So I was genuinely and pleasantly surprised that he won. I thought the match was awesome. That figure 4 jackknife was like, I loved, like, he's always a step ahead. He's such a smart wrestler. And then when you get to see him pull out new stuff like that, just blew my mind. Thought it was an awesome match. Thought it was an awesome G1 that this promotion really needed. This was such like a House of Torture heavy first half of the year. And this G1 felt like it was focusing on Tsuji, ZSJ, Gabe Kidd, like those people who they need to pull up into the next generation of this. But very, very, very happy for him. Like his 2023 TV title run actually meant a lot to me, because I felt like AEW was off track for a lot of 2023, and WWE was flipping between like Vince is in control, no Hunter's in control, no Vince, no Hunter. Like we cover a lot of wrestling, and there were weeks where I was like, I'm watching a lot of this and none of it feels like it's, I mean, great matches within those, but like overall I was just like, this isn't like fun right now. And then I would watch any match of that title reign and seeing what that did for like TMDK as an establishing force and stuff like that. And I was like, man, this reminds me why it's an art form, because there were a lot of times I'd watch those matches feeling inspired, or like sometimes there's so much great wrestling on that it all starts to feel static, and his reign did not feel static to me. So the fact that he's getting rewarded now halfway through 2024, I think is something that's really cool and special. How did you feel? Because you were Team Gabe Kidd for a while.
I was team anybody but Zach because I got jumped by the UK wrestling media when I wanted to be a contrarian because everybody and their mama, not just TMDK, everybody and their mama was believing that Zack Sabre Jr. was going to win the tournament. And that's not entertaining for content, guys. I can't just go along with the wave, even though I've been riding in the Zack Sabre train a lot longer than the people that were choosing them. But I had to think about the content, ladies and gentlemen. I had to think about the content instead of going with my heart. I was thinking with my content brain.
You hear that?
So I went.
SC3 would cry for you. He would die for you just to give you great content.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I do. But no, I really want the Zack Sabre Jr. to win this tournament right from the beginning. I remember when we did our G1 Climax 34 preview, I went the whole thing ranting at people saying Shota Umino was going to win. And then when the cameras went off, I literally told everybody, I'm actually going for Zack as well. But that's not entertaining.
No, I hate that when I do like a preview show and it's everybody's in agreement. I'm like, what a productive thing we've done here.
But... Yeah, I was like, that's not fun. That's not fun. So I had to be different. And I did believe that, someone like a Shota Umino, a Yota Tsuji,
could win.
They needed to win the G1 to make them the, stars. But Zack winning and the fact that he won and then went against tradition, broke tradition and said, I'm going for the championship at King of Pro Wrestling in October. I want to win the championship. And it makes everything so unpredictable going into Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes.
So we're used to, at this point, knowing who's going to be in the headliner at the Tokyo Dome. And now we don't know. We don't know if Zack is going to complete the mission and beat Naito at King of Pro Wrestling. And we don't know who's then going to be the number one contender for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championships. But it was a spectacular match against Yota Tsuji. Yota Tsuji deserves a whole bunch of credit for stepping up.
So great, man.
He has really stepped himself above everyone of that new era of as far as the Reiwa Three Musketeers and Yuya Uemura, even someone like Gabe
Kidd,
Kidd,
who had a great G1. Yuya Uemura showed out this G1 for sure.
That's what made this G1 the best since 2019, because you could say Yuya Uemura was an MVP. You could say the Great Kaun made him step up.
Yeah, what the hell? He could hoop.
He opened a lot of eyes here in this G1. You could say Gabe Kidd is like the Stone Cold Steve Austin of New Japan Pro Wrestling, with the fact that the fans are getting behind him. And Konosuke Takeshita.
Amazing.
I said he was the MVP. He was my MVP, but I would honestly put Konosuke Takeshita and Zack Sabre Jr. now in my top 5 best wrestlers in the world. The other 3 would be Will Ospreay, Gunther, and Bryan Danielson, but those 5 guys are the best in the world, and Takeshita and Zack Sabre Jr. proved that throughout the G1.
I like a lot of what you said there, and what I like about Zack winning is it feels like there's a lot of stars who are kind of past the time that they probably would have won it, and there's a lot of stars, including a stablemate, because I think Fujita is the future of that company.
Oh yeah.
Who will have time to win it. Gabe Kidd could win it next year or the year after or whatever. Zack feels like it's like right now. Like he to me feels like the one that it's like he is on time. And I'm so pumped that he won for selfish reasons, but from a company health perspective, I think New Japan made the absolute best decision. But to your point, they really needed to showcase their current and future talent, and that this G1 did an excellent job of that. And if AEW was not paying attention to how Takeshita was presented, I'm going to slap someone upside the head, because that...
I said I'm putting Tony Khan on trial for his crimes if he does not push Konosuke together. If Takeshita don't win a title before the end of the year or win the Continental Classic, Tony Khan will be charged with booking malpractice. It's over. Doing it on all platforms.
Takeshita beating Okada for the C2 would be, I think, the coolest route you could go. But even when he was out of the J1, but they had that tag match against TMDK, of course, but seeing him stand across the ring from Mikey Nichols and knowing they're like both the same size and just the interactions they had, I was like, God, this guy has it. He has everything right now. And if AEW doesn't capitalize, I'm just going to say it. They're very silly.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry to use such strong language like silly, but anyway, that was our G1 rant. We've got like 15 minutes to go through 700 more matches, but get in those super chats if there's anything you want to talk about. Might be ROH, might be the G1, might be Abaddon defeating Alejandro Lyon here. This was a squash. They're looking great, man. This is what it needs to be. I'm curious about what's next for them. Like, are they going after that mid-card title after Red Velvet? Like, they're very protected right now, and they should be based on the character, but are we going to get a program that allows them to dig in a little bit deeper and we see more of a wrestling showcase at some point soon? Like, where are we going with them? Because Halloween is in 2 months, and I would like for them not to just be trotted out for Halloween. Like, let's get in a story proper, right?
At least they started the story last week with them coming out to confront Athena. So we're starting the build, the 2-month build to them getting the shot at Athena and for Halloween. That's probably going to be the Halloween edition of Ring of Honor, Athena versus Abaddon. So I like this squash in starting the process of building them up on a winning streak before they face our fallen goddess.
I love this. It's PSL season. It's time to push Abaddon. Look, the Starbucks brought back the pumpkin spice latte today. That means we call Abaddon out, but I'm just glad to see them getting reps, too. Like, that's good. Yeah. I know there's nothing to really talk about because this was a squash, but they looked great. The character is obviously very strong. I'm so interested to see what happens, too, like when Julia Hart returns. Because I could see that being a thing. I remember Alex Pulowski saying, like, that should be, like, Abaddon is Julia Hart's, like, attack dog. And I was like, that's such, like, a cool possible role for Abaddon because they don't speak, really. And they have a very distinct character, and they should be presented kind of as a weapon, it feels like, rather than the challenge of super proper stories and matches right now as presented. So I don't know. I feel like House of Heart could pick up Abaddon in the process.
I think the Ring of Honor social media kind of teased that maybe Julia Hart might be coming to Ring of Honor when she returns from injury. So I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind Julia Hart being paired with Abaddon.
I would love that. I would love that personally, but we move on here to Shane Taylor and your ROH Pure Champion Lee Moriarty. Cutting a promo backstage, Moriarty puts over Action Andretti for their match last week, but says he was going to lead into a Pure Rules renaissance. And then Shane Taylor doing what he does best, this warning shot to Mark Briscoe, saying he's coming for that title. Wouldn't be mad if he won that. Like, I would love Lee and Shane both having gold and feeling like a dominant faction here. Would love Shane just to have gold in general. Also wouldn't be mad if he lost, because Mark Briscoe versus Shane Taylor signed me the heck up, especially after what we saw in tonight's main event. But this Pure Rules match was great. Angelico belongs in a Pure division. They keep switching the pronunciation of Angelico and Angelico. I'm going to go with Angelico.
Angelico.
Yeah, I think
they even talked about it
back to Angelico, so I'm going to go with that. But you had Paul White and Jerry Lynn and Christopher Daniels at ringside. I loved this. No surprise there, because this is my shit, if there was ever my shit in wrestling. But the Cresta Invertida submission here with Angelico and Aaron Solo. Knew which way this was going to go, but this is a situation where I'm really glad that Angelico is getting a chance to shine a little bit, because one of the most underrated talents, and we say that about, there's very big rosters in wrestling, so there's a lot of people not being utilized, but like work rate wise, I feel like Angelico is so underrated with his technical ability combined with this smoothness that you don't get in technical wrestling very often, because it is rigid and violent by nature, but he just adds this whole other layer of fluidity to it that is beautiful. It's poetry in motion. You got to see it on display here. We get a promo later in the night too with
they were smoking weed. There was a lot of smoke.
There was a lot of smoke. What it's from can be interpreted however you choose, but Serpentico tells Angelico that he should challenge for the Pure title, and Angelico says that he's crazy. And Serpentico understands, but said that it would make his professor, I guess Negro Navarro, very proud if he challenged for that title. And so he does. We get Angelico issuing an open challenge here. Going after Lee, please sign me up for 3 of those matches. I would love to see that. Your thoughts on the match between Solo and Angelico and the challenge that we get later in this episode?
I was just doing what Angelico was doing when Serpentico
I love on
was
his
talking to her.
Titantron when they have the it's so good.
It's the best. It's the best thing ever. That's how I know he's smoking weed. Because, folks, I don't do the devil's lettuce right now
Nor do
when
I.
I'm around my kids. But I have done the devil's lettuce, and I do stuff like this when people are talking to me in Spanish, and that helps me understand them very much more because I'm in a different headspace. And literally, we heard his thoughts. He wasn't talking, but we heard his thoughts because he was that high. It was like a That 70s Show moment when they're in the circle. It's very good. My second favorite promo on this show. My third favorite promo was Shane Taylor, who cut a great promo.
Amazing.
I just want them to follow up on it because we got this last time, and then he was in a TV title match right after that. So follow up on this. Let him get some wins before he goes against Mark Briscoe, and then Angelico going after the Pure Championship makes a lot of sense. His technical ability, and I like the story that they did in basically a 5-minute matchup with him and Aaron Solo, where he made him use all his rope breaks. So when he did get his finisher on, he had no choice but to tap out as his hand is wrapped around the ropes, which was a funny sight to see at the end here. So all good stuff.
Good stuff overall. Guys, get in those super chats and leave a thumbs up on this video if you would be so kind. We're coming down the halfway point a little bit, but there were a lot of squashes in here, so you're not losing a ton, but a fun main event to talk about still, the TNA post show on the back end of this. But my God, if we bullied Mark Briscoe into the main event, we also bullied Trish Adora on stream here, winning against Erica Lee with the Lariat Tubman. Very excited to see both of these ladies getting a rep. But Trish Adora she's just special, man. I wish I could convey with my words, which is what I get paid to do, so I should probably be able to. What is so special about her? There's like a gentle authoritativeness about her, I guess, is how I can best put it, of like this very calming, magnetic presence, but very commanding at the same time. Feels very military in that regard, of like extremely cool under pressure, very centered the whole time, but properly inflicting punishment and in control of herself and the match this entire time. I just fall in love with her every time I get to see her on my screen. I think she's so great. Larry Tubman, best name in the biz. Nobody's mad about her doing the splits either, say that much. But she's a really special talent, and I really hope she gets better utilized in ROH than she's been, because she should be doing more than coming out with the infantry. She should be doing this. Like, she's really, really great at it. But decent enough match. This was a Trish Adora showcase more. But your thoughts?
Yeah, we need more Trish Adora in just matches in general. I said it once, I'll say it again. The Lariat Tubman is the best finishing name in the business today. It's just awesome. And she hits that lariat like she's freaking Shingo Takagi with a pumping bomber every single time.
For real.
Love to see it. Love to see Trish Adora wrestling. We need more Trish Adora in the ring. We're going to bully you into booking Trish Adora into the ring more.
You oughta.
And she needs an opportunity at Red Velvet for the TV title, or Athena for the Ring of Honor World Championship. But let's get her some wins first before then.
Yeah, I don't know if it feels like the Athena story is headed a very specific way, so I don't know if there'll be room for it. But Athena versus Trish Adora is shit that I want to see on my screen.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, we got Lance Archer and the Righteous, and I was so excited to see them presented as a cohesive unit. This felt very old school Bray Wyatt to me in a very good way. This did not feel Fiend Bray Wyatt, but like Wyatt family, the way it was shot with like the up closeness and the pull away and the way that they were talking a little bit where you knew what they were saying, but you were like, these guys are a little out of their freaking minds. I really, really liked. And Lance Archer just coming in with the everybody dies. Like him being that like grounding force, I think is really fun. I want them as a packaged trio. I want them on track to a title challenge in either promotion, please. Lance Archer just being the title adjacent guy that everybody has to go through is not his ceiling. He has a much higher ceiling than that. But how do you start when we already know how it ends is the question that gets asked by Vincent in this. Just an incredible character. Like, just every cell of his body embodies this character whenever we see him on screen. I love him so much. What did you think of what we got with this vignette tonight?
Come a long way with Vincent. I did not like him back in his original Kingdom days
You
with
did not dig?
Taven. No. When he started doing the snaps, I was with him. But I'm talking about OG in the Kingdom when he was first introduced.
Oh, okay,
Like,
yeah.
I wasn't feeling him back then, but ever since he's been a part of the Righteous, I love it. Love his promo style. Love the vignettes, and this was a really well done shot, and it gave you a different feel to him with the metaphors that he was using. But it's like you said, it was very Bray Wyatt-esque, where he was saying a lot of things, and you understood what he was saying, but you didn't know what's the intent behind it, what's going to be next, what's to come, and what is this setting up. So I like the kind of mystery behind it, and I would like to see these guys go after the 6-man tag team titles, because Dustin Rhodes doesn't need 2 titles. I'm sorry. Lance Archer, I would love to see him win some gold.
Strap up, Lance, please. And Vincent, because I love Vincent, and I love Dutch. I love this whole trio. But like, I don't know, I have my heart for Vincent for some reason. I love that guy so much. But I dig. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
You dig what I'm saying?
I do dig. I also dig Komander getting a win here against Kevin Matthews for reasons unbeknownst to me. But Komander with Abrahantes. Sure. This was one of the... This falls into unnecessary to have on this show. Like, this was a very long episode, and no offense to Komander, he's always so impressive in the ring, but if I was gonna start cutting, this didn't need to be here necessarily, but not anything that was bad, and it just felt like a match that was thrown onto the show.
This and the 2.0. I like 2.0 being back. I like Angelo Parker being back, taking some time to be back in the ring while Ruby is out. I appreciate him being on the show, but it was very unnecessary for them to go against Nick Comoroto and Jacoby Watts, where we're just redoing the same story with them of Nick Comoroto losing and Jacoby Watts blaming him for it. As far as Komander, this just felt
he's
like he's just Komander. He's always
great,
good.
you know.
He's always fun. But I'd rather see him in a fun matchup against someone of actual substance. And that's not to say anything about KM, but that's not how they treat KM. They don't treat him as anyone
he's
of some substance.
literally a producer.
He's literally here to job. And this was like 2 minutes that I did not need to see at all. So both of those I just bunched up together because I was just like, it's nice to see Angelo Parker back, but I don't know why this was on this show.
Yeah, we'll talk about that real quick right now. 2.0 defeating Jacoby Watts and Nick Comoroto with the double DDT on Comoroto. Not sure. I'm glad because it felt like they just abandoned the Comoroto and Jacoby Watts thing. Like completely. So I'm glad they picked it back up because I think there's something special about Nick Comoroto in there and they're starting to pull it out. And Jacoby Watts has like a fun idea. And it felt like they were navigating how to book it and they were making some missteps. But I liked that there was an effort there and I liked that there was something different. So I'm glad they picked it up. I'm hoping the loss has implications for them. Great to see 2.0 back in action. But yeah, Matt Menard is like half a personality with Renee Paquette and commentator and half a wrestler now. Like that did feel like there's better uses of tag teams that you could have utilized in this picture for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll move back to very mindful, very large, very skilled, very incredible, very much showing out. He doesn't look like a clown when he's in the ring. EJ and Nduka showing out quickly, winning with a blue thunder bomb against Dion Russman. This dude is a force. I did not, shame on me, because I've seen him plenty and I've seen him with sizable guys in the ring. I did not realize how big he was. He is a very,
very
he's a
large
big
man.
dude. Yeah, he is a big dude, and that's like his size is something that. Look, there's just like a lot of big guys on the shelf. There's a lot of meat on the shelf right now. SP3, okay, like Takeshita was in the G1, Wardlow was out, Hobbs is injured. Like we've got a lot of meat that is in the freezer at the moment. So give me like a big dude like this. A lean meat. Like he is fit. But we got some meat that is set aside. Miro's out, Keith Lee's out. Like our meat division is thin right now. So like get me this lean meat. 6'8", I think he is, in there. Like he said he was today on Twitter. He had a duck underneath the Tron. That's what the chat is calling out. Yeah. I did not realize he had this much size to him. Totally my own ignorance to that, but really that showed up for me today, seeing him in the ring. That blue thunder bomb looked delicious. Was very happy about it. Anything you want to say about this match? But more, it seems like we're seeing EJ starting to return, like he might be a fundamental part of this Ring of Honor roster.
His physique is instantly impressive. When you see him, like he's the guy that passes the airport test 100%. He looks like a star. He looks like someone who should be in the professional wrestling business. So I'm glad he's here in Ring of Honor, and I want to see more of him. Honestly, I want to see him pick up some more squash victories. But this was a well done squash matchup, which I didn't say a lot on this show. So this was a well done and needed squash win for EJ and Nduka. I'm impressed.
Agreed. If you're going to be squashing people, it should be to establish new talent like this, right? That makes sense to me. We get the Iron Savages, Jack Jameson, Boulder, and Bronson defeating Colton Charles, Rosario Grillo, who we've seen around here a few times now, and Jay Alexander. But the splash from Boulder on Alexander getting the win here. Seems like they're committed to them being a trio right now, which is good. I think if the belts are separated now, which they are, like you need to start having clarity. We've needed it forever, but if they're going to actually be trying in this way, like you need clarity around who's a tag team, who's a trio. And I like Jack Jameson, so I think it's a fun piece to add to them. I still don't know if they've quite found the balance between we're serious or we're silly and how to merge those two worlds, because it's like they are a real deal, but they're still doing like all that titty talk, man, and they're still drinking the sauce and they're still doing these things. So I'd like to kind of see them lean more into one world than the other, because it's just a little bit confusing on the presentation for me right now. But they're great in the ring. I love to watch them in action. What did you think?
Yeah, I'd rather them be intimidating because of their size instead of kind of borderline funny with the titty city and stuff like that. I think there might be a way to do that because, we've seen it in the past back in the 90s with the Nasty Boys who used to take people to Pity City and they were still heels at the same time. And I think that's what they're trying to go for. But it's 2024. That stuff is comedy. It's comedy and it doesn't always work as a heel. So we'll see how they develop. But this was another squash on the show where I didn't think it was necessary, because I was like, this would have been necessary and useful before they got a shot at the 6-man tag team titles. But I literally just saw that a few weeks ago. So they're getting a win here. So hopefully we build them up more before they get back into the title picture.
Yeah, agreed. Guys, we are coming down the home stretch somehow miraculously already. In what was a loaded episode of Ring of Honor. We've got the TNA post show on the back end for you. They've got a lot to talk about over there as well. They've got Ultimate X qualifiers going on. They've got broken up weddings leading to trios matches, I think. It's crazy in TNA world right now. But hang around for that. Joel and Cresta, two of the best that we've got in this world. But Lio Rush defeating Tony Nese here, and man, I said it last week, I'll say it again, I'll say it for the rest of my life as he gets the win with the final hour. getting this guy on weekly television is a pleasure. Like, this was the most obvious match with the most obvious outcome, and the way this guy gets up to speed, it feels like he's an electric vehicle or something. Like, it's like he steps on the gas for 2 seconds, and his foot speed is unreal. I think Kyle Sparks was pointing that out online, and I had the same thought today. It just a phenomenal athlete, and I'm so glad he seems to be like in a good place with where he's at. I'm selfishly glad it's a place where I get to review him wrestling, because I love watching what he's been doing. This was fun. Tony Nese is good. Mark Sterling is a big fat liar, so don't listen to him when he says, like, we're undefeated. Tony Nese is the highest draw in the whole wide world. Sneaky Mark Sterling, okay?
Ambulance chaser.
That's right. That's right. But some good stuff here. If there's a Lio Rush match on, it has my attention. I get to watch him at Capital Collision. I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
So some good stuff that we got tonight. What were your thoughts on this match? This felt like a throwaway, but it was also a throwaway that was really fun. So I was not complaining about this.
This is one of like 4 matches on the show that actually felt like an actual match instead of a squash match. So I did enjoy this. The strike exchange when they were hitting each other with the quick strikes was so good, so smooth. And Lio Rush hitting those suicide dive. The first one on Mark Sterling, where Mark Sterling just wasn't ready, and then the second one on Tony Nese. It made me give myself my next dream match that I need to see: Lio Rush versus Darby Allin. We need it in our lives. Put it in our veins. Since you have Lio Rush coming on AEW Collision already, we've seen him on Dynamite in the Casino Battle Royal. We might see him in this Sunday's Casino Battle Royal, considering that he made the whole announcement that he's in the UK. Why not give us Lio Rush and Darby Allin down the line on an episode of Dynamite, an episode of Collision? That is what I need. And we're going to see him on Collision this Saturday as he teams up with Top Flight to verse, I saw it in the chat, the Bastard Combat Club of PAC, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, which should be a really good matchup with that Cardiff crowd, which was amazing on Dynamite. I'm sure they're going to, I already heard on social media people that were there that was like, the crowd did not leave and they were just as loud for Collision as they were for Dynamite. So I'm looking forward to Saturday for that.
Oh, I've heard a lot of fun things about that Collision episode, especially that Hook Big Bill match. So stay tuned for that. But I also think with the unique attributes that Lio Rush has, like we see him with Top Flight, which feels more like a faction now. Him being like in a tag team, I think could be really fun, or in a trio could be really fun. So wouldn't hate it. It feels like he's intentionally like not wearing the flight attendant gear and stuff like that. So I'm intrigued to see what that looks like. But
he's like, I'm not a stripper, guys. I'm not gonna wear that.
This is
ridiculous.
A Joelism, not to be confused with my computer. The Blackpool Combat Club. It's the Pack Pool Combat Club is what we decided it was online. So. That's what I'm going with, but
I like Bastard Combat Club. I'm sorry.
Thank God. I only have one more match to review with you before we get out of here. Last call for super chats on the ROH end. Plenty more to come with the TNA side of things as well, but we've got Mark Briscoe cutting a promo earlier in the night, doing what he does best, doing a fantastic impression of SP3.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I got a big match. I'm going to be versing the Beast Mortos. And what the Beast Mortos really should have done is he should have gotten a time machine from that episode of Dynamite when he beat me, and he should have tagged out and he should have let someone else get in there, and he would have redone history, because he don't want the beat I'm going to give to him tonight, because I'm going to beat him up so bad. I was born on this earth to do one of 2 things. It's defend the Ring of Honor World Championship, and that's beat people's ass, and that's what I'm going to do.
It was whoop ass, take names, and slay beasts, and man, this match was super fun. I had a lot of fun with this one. I was not surprised by the result, because obviously we know what the results are, but I was wondering if they were going to hand the reins over to Beast Mortos, because he's great. Like he feels like someone everybody's been calling for them to build ROH around. And Mark's getting used so heavily in AEW. I didn't know if they were going to make that switch. Shane Taylor, if they choose to go that route, also a good choice. They could also circle back to this because they're one apiece now. So not bad. But Mark winning with the J Drilla, this was so fun. Beast Mortos, like, is that guy. Like, he feels like there's so many luchadors in AEW and ROH, and none of them feel like they're on a track right now, except Hologram and maybe Beast Mortos. So I'm glad about that, because it's great all these guys are signed, and it's great that they get chances to show out. They're not like in a lot of stories. So Beast Mortos seems to be like someone that's getting prioritized. These guys beat the dog shit out of each other, and it was awesome. Like, it was just one of those matches. Cresta, who's going to be on here in a minute, would have loved it because it felt very meaty. Like, they're not the biggest guys in the world, but it was a meat match at the end of the day. Like, you got all the meat action that you would want in something like this. But what were your thoughts on our main event? I thought this was a blast, and I thought it felt like a main event. There was story going into it, big fight feel, kind of. What do you think?
Very hard hitting, very physically intense between these two. And I like the fact that they made Beast Mortos look strong in defeat. Him very kicking out at one to the Froggy Bow, which we've seen people like when he hits the Froggy Bow, I was like, oh, okay, he might get the win. But then he celebrated a little, and I was like, oh, he's not going to get the win on that. And then he kicked out at one, so I was surprised multiple times there. I was like, oh, I was surprised he hit it. Then I was surprised he celebrated because I was like, you're not going to get the win now. Then I was surprised he kicked out at one. I was like, oh, I thought he was going to kick out at two. So I like that little sequence there, and I like Mark having to pull out the big clothesline like he's been working with Tomohiro Ishii to build up his lariats and then finishing it off with the J Driller, which is his kill shot now. So I like that they established that. I like that they made Beast Mortos look strong. He never was able to hit his finisher, which is his death nail, that Beast Bomb or whatever. What was it called? What did they call it? They gave it a cool name. I forget what they gave it. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but
it was all cool. I forget stuff. Though. It was like an absurdly cool name. It was like, yes, I wish I could remember it.
Absurdly cool name. That's what we're gonna go with tonight. But yeah, good stuff here, and I'm always happy with Mark Briscoe, who's the real world champion, which I'm sure Nigel McGuinness will agree with if we get the result we want on Sunday and a different world champion for the AEW world title. We're gonna start calling Mark Briscoe the real world champion. And Cardification is here to stay. We're going to cardificate all over this show. This show had a solid way to close off the show, despite all the squashes that we saw before that.
If you're having a hard time cardificating, BlueChew.com code FIGHTFUL, but
set you up for that. Alley-oop.
I love it. You toss them up, I'm knocking them out. You know what I mean? But speaking of things we always love to see, the lovely Cresta Star is here. And also Joel, they're going to come on here for your TNA Impact review. I'm trying to get better at getting that brand name right.
I didn't think you were going to be all right this second.
You were on for a solid 2 seconds before you did that.
I hesitate to say anything because I just wanted to like log off and let that sit. Like, that was so incredible. Look, people love you. I love this. People
I'm the most professionalist of all the sportscasters, news wrestlers thingies. That's me.
News wrestlers.
The most professional podcaster.
The most professional podcaster.
So true. Everybody's loving it. I love it. I love when we get to see Cresta. How are you guys doing tonight?
Gassy.
Other than clearly had some sort of bubbly drink.
I had a ginger ale. I'm West Indian. Ginger ale is my weakness. I love ginger ale.
Listen, I love ginger ale, and I don't know why, but on a plane, I'm always getting ginger ale. Why is it? Why is a plain ginger ale like a cure-all? Why do I feel fancy? Like, why is the plain ginger ale like my... I'll have a ginger ale. Like, why? I love it so much.
You know what? Because we're the most professional sports wrestling entertainers, podcasters. That's why we have a lot in common.
It's true.
It's true.
Very true. It's true.
It's damn true.
It's damn true. Well, we are already over our time. ROH went over on their time, so we're going to get out of here. But have so much fun talking TNA. Guys, continue to support this. Get in those super chats to Joel and Cresta and leave a thumbs up. We're going to get out of here. But thank you so much.
You guys stick around. I'm still watching the DNC. Keep talking.
Girl.
No, Joe was just red like his background, so peace, y'all.
I respect it. Leave, run, flee.
This is what I get. I updated our background, Cresta. For the hardcore TNA people, they'll know what it is. But I upgraded and updated.
Is it the logo?
It is the logo. See,
honestly though, the more I find out about old school TNA, before we start, someone sent me a clip and they're like, it's my job to educate you. And they showed me a clip of the Dudley Boys asking Conan and like two other people not to kill their brother. And then Conan shoots this man in the stomach. What was TNA doing?
Eddie Kingston ran over a child. Anyway, how you doing, Cresta?
I'm sports gassy and sports confused. How are you?
TNA was something else tonight. This was definitely one of the shows that they put on leading into Emergence next week.
This was promo heavy, and I got problems. I'm going to tell you how I feel. That's how I felt about this show.
Well, Emergence is next Friday. We'll be here. We'll be talking about that, and of course tonight's show and next week's show as well. So it's a busy time for TNA. There's plenty going on. Hell, there's even an NXT PLE that now has some TNA involvement in multiple ways. So that's cool. You ready?
It's Joe Hendry, and I am ready.
It's also Zachary Wentz, but no one wants to talk about him.
I mean, it's Zachary Wentz and Joe Hendry.
See? Perfect. I'm sure Joe Hendry would love to share the spotlight with that man.
I mean, clap, clap, clap. Joya. I haven't forgotten.
Wishing the best to Yuya Uemura. He's injured. He got injured during the New Japan G1.
No.
Yeah, he had to pull out towards the end. He wasn't going to win it, but he was doing pretty well. And it sucks that he's injured, but hopefully he pulls out soon.
Honestly, Yuya Uemura and Konosuke Takeshita, I want nothing but the happiness and all the love and joy. And low-key Shibata, too. Those are like my top three favorite Japanese wrestlers right now. Okada will be fine. Respectfully, Beyonce of New Japan.
You'll see Shibata soon enough. Are you ready to go?
I'm born ready. Let's go.
And the 1 and the 2. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com, and it's time for your TNA Impact post show. It's August 22nd, 2024. I am Agile Pearl, and of course, with me, as always, is the one, the only Cresta the Star. How you doing, Cresta?
I am sports entertained this evening. I am ready to talk about TNA. How are you doing, Joel?
I'm doing okay. I'm ready to talk about TNA. Tonight's show was a mishmash. There was some good, some not so good. I mean, this is pretty much par for the course with us. Every time we talk about TNA lately, it's just like some stuff is great, some stuff is not so great. We always find a spot in the middle. Mm-hmm. And of course, now we have to integrate the NXT stuff because NXT is getting more and more involved with TNA and vice versa. So things are coming together. We got a lot to talk about. By the way, if you haven't already, go check out the interview that Rob Wilkins did with Speedball Mike Bailey. That's up on the channel. This one right here. Go after we finish tonight. Don't do it now. Stay here. Stick around. Watch the show and then go see the interview with Speedball and Rob Wilkins. Very, very fun stuff. And of course, I always plug my Steve Macklin interview that we did just going into Slammiversary. And Sean Ross Sapp has an interview with Nick Nemeth coming up. That's already up for Tier 2 Fightful Select subscribers. The notes will be coming very shortly as well. So go check that out. And we'll talk about Fightful Select in a little bit. But overall, Impact tonight, solid. Some good stuff. Some questionable stuff. But we're moving towards Emergence. It's next Friday. Mm-hmm. We will be here. We'll be doing a post show live. You don't have to worry about SmackDown post show. That's Bash in Berlin. They're doing it'll be taped. You won't have to worry. The show will have already aired. You don't have to watch that. You can watch our post show instead. Period. And let's be honest, Cresta, it's probably going to be after, like our post show is probably going to start after the SmackDown post show because it's late.
I mean, but our post show is the postiest of all post shows. So come get your TNA fix with Joe Pearl and Cresta.
Yeah, you want to see how we handle a 60-minute Iron Man match conversation?
Well, I listen, man. I think me and Iridian did it once, and it was like this. hold, another hold, gun, another hold, hardcore spot, gun, 60 minutes, period.
Ah, yes. FTR versus the Bang Bang Gang.
I think that's what it was, actually.
Of course it was. It was the only like close to an hour Collision main event that's happened so far.
Just hit the beats. But I can't wait to see how that's going to transpire, because there's a lot of chatter online about Nick Nemeth's. It's one of those things that I find very ironic before we get into this, where people will cheer for someone until they win. And then when they win, well, this guy sucks. What? So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out.
I got a lot of people on the internet saying, you know, this person needs to win all the titles. They're amazing. The second that they do anything like that, 2 weeks later, you're going to get, oh, they suck. They're overrated.
Yeah.
Wrestling is not just the story you want. It is the story that I want. And what I want is for everyone here to leave a thumbs up on the video. And of course, subscribe to us here at youtube.com/Fightful. If you're listening to us in the audio realm and you haven't already done it, what's wrong with you? Leave a 5-star review right now. Tell us how much you love us, and, you know, helps us get a little bit closer to your friends' ears so more people talk about wrestling through the Fightful world. Because we're not just breaking news, we're a bunch of personalities talking about professional wrestling and having fun with it. So get in there and donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air, or you can do the alternative, which is Humper Chats. Go to humperchats.com. Cresta will tell you the rest.
If you head on over to humperchats.com, you can put your question. You can put question or comment. You can put your donation amount. We get to keep a little bit more. It's fantastic for us. It keeps the lights on, and it helps us, you know, be sports entertainment journalists for your nerves. Humperchats.com on mobile or PC.
Bing?
Dong.
Nice.
The witch is dead.
Oh, no, Dong is what they were talking about a couple days. Anyway, not important. Impact opens up with the Ultimate X qualifier. Hammerstone defeats Frankie Kazarian and Kushida. He's going to be part of this whole thing. A quick match, or at least what felt like a quick match.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of Hammerstone power towards the end. He hits the Nightmare Pendulum on Kushida from a barely standing position. Frankie Kazarian, though, you know, he's trying. He just wants to win and then win Ultimate X and then cash in the X Division Championship immediately. But no, not to be done, because Kazarian is not part of Ultimate X. Hammerstone qualifies. And then post-match, Kazarian beats down Kushida, because why not? What do you think of this whole thing?
Good to see Hammerstone back again. And I was watching TNA with my little brother. Shout out to little brother Star. And the first thing out of his mouth was, how in the hell is Hammerstone in a qualifier for an Ultimate X match? And the next thing out of my mouth is, it's not about weight limits. It's about no limits. And then the next thing out of Tom Hannifin's mouth was, it's not about weight limits. It's about no limits. And then I'm reminded to the last time we had an Ultimate X match, Jake Something's big self was in that match. So I'm okay with this result. I gotta shout out that spot where Kushida is attempting an armbar on Hammerstone, but Hammerstone is so massive that he literally cannot power this man's arm open. I don't mind the wind. Frankie Kazarian, I know you are upset, but this I could hear, and maybe I've been watching Collision too much, but I could hear Nigel McGuinness yelling, flee, Frankie, flee, when he was running away from Hammerstone while in the beginning of the match. This match was okay. I don't mind it. But a big beefy man, an Ultimate X match, I will always be here for, because it's kind of like, yo, get out of here. But also, stay.
The field is set. We'll talk about that when we talk about the last Ultimate X qualifier later on. But Hammerstone in this match makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into it. And literally everything you said about it's about no limits. It's about no weight limits, no limits. You know what I mean? Yeah, that makes perfect sense considering who they brought in. Eric Young is then interviewed backstage by GM Miller. And next week it's going to be Hammerstone versus Eric Young. And Eric Young's kind of like, maybe Hammerstone won't make it to Emergence. And then Macklin walks in and says, I'll be watching.
I'll be watching you. Also, too, I don't think that having someone like Hammerstone is a bad idea in that match. You need a base. There's a lot of flippy floppy guys, and you need someone who's going to catch all of these varying sizes of flip flopping beef.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things that we'll talk about, and that I was going to bring up when.
Sorry,
when
I stole your thunder.
How dare you? I can't believe it. This is why we can't coexist on this show. I hate it.
Rob and Maggie hates us right now.
No, they're good. They did a show today over on Fightful Overbook. Go check that out. They were good stuff. Yeah, Macklin's stalking. He says he's everywhere. He's got eyes all over this thing. Good for him.
Good for him for having eyes.
Good for him for having eyes. Trust me, it's a tough game having those eyes. But he's got them. Not everyone can say they do, and some work better than others. I've never seen Steve Macklin wearing glasses, so clearly he's got good vision.
I mean, I wear glasses and I still can't see. I mean, I don't wear glasses and I still can't see. So, here we are.
Fair enough. Santana's in the back. He says the system have basically forced him to be the animal he needs to be. He's going to go after all of them one by one, and that comes into later on in the main event. Meanwhile, Rosemary defeats Alicia Edwards. Hell of a spear from Rosemary, and she finishes off the match with the acid bomb, which is also the Angel Garza wing clipper. Masha Slamovich tries to get involved. Spitfire come out to make the save. We already know they're going to do a 6-woman tag at Emergence between Spitfire and Spitfire and Ash by Elegance. No, Spitfire and Jordan Grace versus Maja Alicia and Ash by Elegance. Am I right? Did I get it? I hope so.
I hope so too, because I don't have really any notes for this match besides Jody's Threat's hair looks really, really pretty. It was very curly. It was very bouncy. The system era and Rosemary doesn't afraid of Masha, and that's low-key a match I want to see, but I also don't want to see because I can see that devolving into a bloodbath very quickly, and I'm squeamish.
Did you catch the Desmond Wolfe reference in this match? Tom Hannafin made a reference to Desmond Wolfe. Are you familiar with Desmond Wolfe?
I'm sports confused.
You cover the Saturday AEW program in which a little British boy does commentary.
Yes. Hating Nigel, yes.
Nigel McGuinness in TNA was known as Desmond Wolfe.
Is that the same promo with "Get Your Ghetto Booty Down to the Ring"? With my brain blue screened on that one, so I couldn't tell you for sure. No, that's the Ric Flair promo. That's the end Okay, work, Diva. Now I learned something today. Desmond Wolfe, Nigel McGuinness.
Open your TNA Plus app after this show. Go watch all the Desmond Wolfe stuff. Very nice to have Tom Hannafin shout out Nigel McGuinness, Desmond Wolfe, ahead of AEW All In.
The more I find out about TNA back in the day, the more I'm going to be sports confused and surprised. Like I said, I saw the Dudley Boys begging for their brother not to get shot, and Conan said, "We're shooting your brother." So I will go look up Mr. Desmond Wolfe because I know where to start now because I know he was in the main event Mafia with Ric Flair. So
there it is. Look at that. You're already halfway there. Ash by Elegance is backstage and she says she wants a match, but not just any match, a match by Elegance. With lots of perfume stilettos and I'm sure a lot of pink. Meanwhile, Jordan Grace accepts later on in the night. So a match by Elegance next week. Jordan Grace, Ash by Elegance. Hopefully we're blowing this off minus the 6-woman tag that they're going to do in Emergence. I hope this is it. I don't know if you have anything to add on that whole package.
If this is not like a digital media champion match where they bring out all the PlayStations and stuff and they bring out a bunch of stilettos, that's the only way that I'm going to be sports entertained. That's just my expectation. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm saying that for me.
I think you will be happy with the match.
I know I'm going to be happy. Let me be a pessimist, Joel. I want to be a hater. I don't want your positive opinion when I'm being a hater.
You're right. You're going to hate every minute of it. It's going to be the worst match you've ever seen.
Exactly. I hate watch wrestling. Now you get it. This is the worst town I've ever been.
That's right. No, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun Knockouts Championship match. A match by Elegance.
I will say, the match by Elegance thing grew on me because the entire night, me and my friends are like, match by Elegance. Domain expansion. Match by Elegance.
The problem is if you start using this in like regular wrestling terms, people are still going to be confused as hell and I'm all for it.
Come on, sports confusion. Or do you want to have a match by Elegance?
Try doing that on Saturday. See how that crowd is. See if they get it.
Honestly, Tony Storm doing a match by Elegance. I'm sorry. It's good. That's good shit, pal.
Anyway, Rhino, PCO, and Xia Brookside defeat Madman, Fulton, Kaun, and Steph De Lander. Matt Cardona comes out and he says, "I'm not cleared. Oopsies." And then you can hear someone in the crowd chanting, "He's not ready."
That popped the shit out of you.
Laughing my Sometimes the stupid audio picks up some of the best stuff, and he's just yelling, "He's not ready! He's not ready!"
He said he's always ready, and obviously he lied. He lied.
He lied. So anyway, Cardona brings out Kaun and the returning Madman Fulton. I do like that they brought out Kaun because he has the history with PCO and Steph De Lander. He basically became the Cardona surrogate when Cardona got injured when Steph and Mac came back to TNA in around April after Against All Odds. So this was good. This was some good stuff. I was good to see Kaun back in the swing of things. Cardona keeps trying to get involved. And then he's begging off because he's like, oh, I'm still injured. My pack, I'm not cleared. The Brooksy bomb from Xia Brookside on Madman Fulton leads to PCO doing the PCO salt, getting the win. And then afterwards, Steph De Lander, who wasn't involved in the match at all, celebrates with PCO, Brookside, and Rhino, as she should, while Matt Cardona is still upset at ringside. I don't know if you have anything to add about this, because we're going towards PCO and presumably Matt Cardona officially at Emergence.
I appreciate... Welcome back, Alex Hammerstone. Second, welcome back. Welcome back, Madman Fulton. Don't know if it's full-time, handshake, or a couple of appearances. But when I saw Kaun and Madman Fulton, y'all already know what I'm about to say. Meat. And Rhino was in that match. Meat. This was one of my... I had a lot of fun with this match. Not my favorite match of the night, because my favorite match of the night was the one with Laredo Kid, because that had no right being as fun as it was. But this match was meaty. And also shout out to Xia Brookside, because they really tried to work this poor girl. She said, not me, not today. And these guys didn't go to the school of Bully Ray. So the system maybe, but not these guys. So shout out to Xia Brookside on that. Also, again, Steph De Lander pulling Xia Brookside out the way. Why was Steph De Lander on the enemy side? That made no sense.
They made sense of it on commentary. They were saying that, Matt Cardona is basically trying to show her or make an example out of her because she refuses to go back to him. So it was forced that she would be on that side. But meanwhile, she didn't tag in. She wasn't part of the match. And then she helped out her team, or the opposite team, while the other two did all the rest, right? Kaun and Fulton. So it didn't make sense, but it made enough sense. It was the whole she's Cardona's property, according to Matt Cardona. That's always been the line for Matt Cardona, and it's gross, and it feels like she's still going to go back to him at the end of this whole thing.
But it's very Matt Cardona. Also, shout outs to the Beetlejuice. She's been doing a lot of Beetlejuice references, and I live. Come on, Lydia, I live.
Yeah, and a lot of Elvira as well.
Yes, it's been great. It's been great. Steph De Lander's been dressing. Call her Ranch because she's been. I'll leave. I'm sorry.
No, I've already heard people do that. Someone did that for a wrestler this week, and they loved it. It was wrestling wind down. They called out someone, and that person just loved it. I forget who it was.
Darn, I'm not clever, y'all. I tried. Next match.
No, I want you to sit with it just a little bit more.
Play the sad music.
Yeah, I got you.
Fitting, I am a clown.
It's official for Emergence, by the way. Steve Macklin versus Erich Young. That match will happen on that show.
Old men. I can't wait to see these literally two angry old men just gonna slap each other.
I'm pretty sure Steve Macklin is younger than I am.
Steve Macklin and Dax Harwood are just old by definition, because these men look like they see some shit. Like they're angry. They're angry. No, I don't want no heat with Macklin again. I'm sorry. I mean that respectfully. I mean like you've seen some shit. I mean that respectfully. Like, damn it.
Macklin's 5 days older than I am. So there you go. So I'm going to make fun of Steve Macklin for being an old man for the rest of my life.
How dare you be born 5 days before
5
me, Grandpa.
Anyway, I am looking forward to Macklin and Erich Young. Last week we talked about it. When the challenge was made, it was like, this is a first time ever match. These two have never touched. Well, they're going to do it one-on-one at Emergence, and that's a good match to have. I'm looking forward to it.
They're going to beat the hell out of each other. I can't wait.
One of the very few one-on-one matches that are on this card. This is a very loaded, lots of people on the card, but there aren't that many singles matches. So Macklin and Young getting a chance to be the only singles match that's just a singles match is pretty cool.
I will say that this match too is a good palate cleanser right after a big match, or right after a comedy match, or maybe this could go on after an Ultimate X and you would still be like, okay, the momentum is still there, but I don't have to be at a 9,000. This is a great palate cleanser.
Yeah, this is definitely a different match than the other matches on the card.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, you've got the 60-minute Iron Man match for the TNA World Championship. They did a bit of a hype package for Nick Nemeth and Josh Alexander. I'm not a big fan of Josh Alexander basically saying, oh, Nick Nemeth, you're a sports entertainer and this is a pro wrestling company and I'm a pro wrestler. I'm a bit over it. I do like that Nemeth came back and said, well, yes, I am a sports entertainer, but also I have a whole lot of experience as a wrestler, as a collegiate wrestler, blah, blah, blah. I love this business. I'm better known than you. Like, it's fine. I just don't love the whole sports entertainer as an insult in wrestling.
I find that it's a good way to start people off in like think of it kind of like when a clam gets a bacteria and it's a little piece of sand and it eventually turns into a pearl. Hear me out. Follow my analogy, right? It's easy to say that, man, you're a sports entertainer, but I think sports entertainment and fancy fine wrestling go hand in hand. So you're not necessarily insulting people, because I think that not everyone could be a sports entertainer, just like not everyone could be a wrestler, and that's okay too. You know what I mean? So it's a good way to start off something where maybe I'm reading too much into this, and I see it as Josh Alexander oversimplifying the fact that this guy who you're insulting by calling a sports entertainer has your title. So if he's all of this, what does that make you? You know what I mean? You're trying to oversimplify a problem. Maybe again, I'm reading too much into this because I like wrestling and I will find a reason to like it. But like, to me, this was like, you're jealous, bro. Like, you're the second jealous wrestler I've seen this week. You're jealous because if he's all of that, he's still your world champion. So you oversimplify, like, well, he's a sports entertainer. Okay, and I'm very sports entertained. So what's your excuse?
Still think Josh Alexander is going to win.
I do too. I said that to say I do too. I mean, I don't think we should take it off of Nick Nemeth. However, I could see y'all doing that because this heel Alexander is fantastic. I love it. I never thought I'd see Josh Alexander get booed, and he's being a piece of crap, right? It's good.
There are some other things at play too. Joe Hendry has a NXT championship match against Ethan Page the night after Emergence, or 2 nights later, I guess.
I don't want to get my hopes up for a North anything because I let that dream die. And if I even get a hope, because I already got Rascals, I'm gonna pop like a pimple.
All I'm saying is it's very rare that TNA and NXT have live events right after each other, right near each other, right around the same time. It's rare.
I kind of want it. I want it. The North, can you imagine half and half heel staple, both champions being pieces of crap? That's sports entertainment.
Happens again, by the way, it happens again. Bound for Glory is the same weekend as Halloween Havoc. It's the night before Halloween Havoc.
This is such a good partnership.
There's some good timing going on. Next weekend's going to be very interesting considering you've got Emergence on Friday, and then you've got NXT No Mercy a day or two later. There's some stuff there. There's some fun scheduling stuff available there. So we'll see how it plays out. But again, Joe Hendry is challenging for the NXT Championship. Josh Alexander is challenging for the TNA World Championship. There's timing, and we'll talk about that when we get to the main event. But meanwhile, the match that you really enjoyed, the Ultimate X qualifier, to round out the field, Laredo Kid defeats Jay Vidal and Bhupinder Gujjar. Good to see Bhupinder Gujjar back and Jay Vidal as well. I think the last time we saw Jay Vidal was when PCO beat the shit out of him in Vegas in January.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him back. And also Bhupinder Gujjar.
I've always been a fan of that dude. Like, he's always been solid.
I'm happy that he's back. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot. I remember that he was injured and that's why he went away, but TNA's story has been so good and so involved. It's easy to forget that people like him are injured. No shade, not saying that he's bad, but it's just like there's so much going on. I'm so happy to see him, and Jay Vidal too. So good.
You want a reaching stat for this whole thing?
I'm ready.
Ultimate X will be the first time that Laredo Kid has been promoted and planned to appear on a TNA special or pay-per-view since Victory Road 2022. Now, before anybody tells me about Hard to Kill 2024, and I was there because he replaced Trent Seven in the 4-way tag team title match with Speedball. He wasn't planned. He wasn't announced to be on the show. But this is the first time that he's on a main card as promoted, as planned since Victory Road 2022. So Laredo Kid, it's time to give him that title.
Honestly, at this point, he already broke the Lucha curse and won. So,
Well, he won the Digital Media Championship that one time, and then he dropped it to AJ Francis. And then AJ went on the run of a lifetime.
he made it relevant again.
One might argue.
That's what he said. I'm just repeating what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Either way, Laredo Kid pins Jay Vidal with the 450 splash, and the field is set for Ultimate X. Let's talk about the match, and then we'll talk about the field.
This match was so good. Everyone was working stiff. The chest chops from and to Jay Vidal. Ooh, he's been in the gym. He's been eating his Wheaties. Do people still say that? Is that a dated reference for you eating your Wheaties?
Well, maybe a little bit.
All right, well, I'm 9,000 years old. You guys lucky I didn't say the steel milled oats. But this match was pretty stiff. I was very happy. I really, really, really wanted Jay to win because I just personally like him and I follow him on Instagram, whatever. I wanted Bhupinder to win and also wanted Laredo Kid to win. And this is a good problem to have that TNA frequently has. Not mad at Laredo Kid, but I feel like you do. If we're gonna do it, let him win. But also, I somehow feel like this group of people, no matter who won this, I feel like Frankie Kazarian is gonna do some shenanigans to this person to weasel his way into the Ultimate X match because Frankie Kazarian is PIST.
So those people include Zachary Wentz, Hammerstone Speedball, Jason Hotch, NXT's Riley Osborne, and Laredo Kid. I could see a story in which Zachary Wentz gets taken out by Wesley on as early as Tuesday. And then they do a backstage where Kazarian gets the spot. Or Hotch, because it's Hotch.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Everyone else I can see sticking it. Laredo Kid, I feel like they want to have him in there because he can do a lot of really fun spots. Hammerstone, of course, we've already talked about it, and you made reference to the fact that he's the big meaty dude. He's a good base for all of these guys. Speedball's the champion. You're not going to get rid of him. And Riley Osborne that's
NXT representation.
NXT. Yeah, so there's no reason to get rid of him. But once there's a storyline way to do it, Hotch, there's just a silly, it's Jason Hotch reason to do it.
Not for nothing. You Jason Hotch, it is what it is, buddy.
But I want Jason Hotch to be a part of it because we talk about it. I like the good hands as wrestlers. They're really good. Actually, I think they're good presentation, and I think that they're really good wrestlers. I would love Hotch to have this opportunity. Do I think he'll win? No. Do I think he could have a standout performance? Absolutely. Wentz, this is the weird thing. It's like, are we trying to make Zachary Wentz a single star while he's still working with Trey Miguel? And he's feuding with Wesley in NXT. So like there is space there to do it. And that's why I could see Wesley maybe getting rid of Zachary Wentz going into the match. Knowing that they have a PLE match at NXT.
I could absolutely see that too. Because I could also see Hotch filling the same role as Alan Angels, and we're getting a dick punch spot. And I can't wait.
Here for it. I'm here for all the dick punch spots. I live for dick punch spots.
Yam bag shuffle, in the words of Taz, or Yam bag Jones.
Here for it. Maybe they'll take out Riley Osborne. No, I doubt it. That'd be very funny though.
I mean, it's TNA, man. I expect yam bag shuffles and biting and murder.
I mean, I expect everyone to subscribe to Fightful Select, the best $5 in the business, where you can learn all about Ricochet heading to AEW. All in London is this weekend. We have all the scoops. Our interview with Speedball Mike Bailey, I mentioned that. And of course, the Nick Nemeth interview with Sean Ross Sapp. That's up for Tier 2 subscribers. All the news, all the scoops, all the content, $5 a month. Best $5 in the business. FightfulSelect.com. How about that? First Class is backstage. They're just going off on referee Daniel Spencer, and he said on Twitter he was scared. Daniel Spencer was a real scaredy cat, just absolutely petrified of Rich Swann yelling at him. And then in walks Speedball Mike Bailey, Speedball Mountain. Both men walk in. Speedball challenges Rich Swann to an X Division Championship match next week. It's already been taped. It's in the can, so we're doing it. What do you think of this whole thing? Jonathan Gresham defeats Charlie Dempsey. We move on. Charlie Dempsey comes in from NXT. An excellent match this was. It was all about joint manipulation. Take that as you will. These two men had a really, really, really solid match. I'm still very annoyed about the Jonathan Gresham situation.
I'm a little mad about that.
I still wish we could do anything to bring back the octopus character, to bring back what he was doing. But if we're going to do a match like this, Gresham and Dempsey absolutely delivered. Very fun stuff. Gresham gets the win with the forced wrist to the mat. Post-match, they scrapped for a minute, so it feels like they're going to go at it again. What do you think of this whole thing?
This match, I can tell you for a fact, was short because I went to the bathroom, and then when I came out, they were forcing each other on the mat, and then Jonathan Gresham pinned him. So the word on the street, and this is what I wrote verbatim, I had to pee, but word on the street is that this was a technical spectacle and the brute force pin for Gresham to win. So come on, technical spectacle.
I mean, there was a moment where they did the bridge backed cravat while he was in a leg lock, and that was from Dempsey on Gresham. And then later on, they both do what I called monkey flippies, and then they get the dual.
I know exactly what you're talking about too. So that's aptly named.
Monkey flippies into a dual bridge pin, and they both broke the pin with the dual bridge. There was some really good stuff here. They were very well coordinated. They knew what they were doing. Both men were evenly matched. This is why it was a very solid match, both in size and just in character. This worked out. So I want to see it again. I'm sure that we will, because they did leave the door open with that little scrap at the end. It's good. I'm really, really happy with that. And then our main event, there's really not much to say here. Our main event tonight, the Hardy Boys take on Moose and JDC. Please get rid of the USA gear by the time we get to Emergence.
Bruh, I just want to believe that this tapings, that's the only gear they brought with them. And that's what I want to believe. That's what I want to believe. And that's what I'm going with. So it's
entirely possible because they did do Montreal, and I think a week later they were doing Florida. No, it's 2 weeks. I think they had 2 weeks off. Anyway. Yeah.
Lish don't got rainbow. I'm not rainbow. Lish don't got American flag gear. I'm just saying she out on something different.
Well, it's because she's bringing multiple bags. Also, she's small enough that like if she brings a big suitcase, she could bring a lot more stuff because she's small, so it doesn't take up as much room.
I mean, not for nothing. A lot of these guys either wrestle in just trunks, like tiny man panties, or you can't call them man panties. Jesus Christ.
Nope. Can't do that, Cresta.
Whatever I was going to say is null and void. Never mind. I'm the worst.
Quote, tiny man panties. That's the star.
Listen, I watch wrestling for a multitude of reasons. Leave me alone.
They're all wearing pants right now in the system. So there's that. Anyway, not important. I mean, the USA gear just has to be done. This is Jeff Hardy's first match since before Slammiversary. They made reference to that on commentary, and Jeff came out hot. He did all the good stuff, and system was selling well. The match is fine. The match is good. The Hardy Boys win. Matt hits a twist of fate. Jeff hits a swanton bomb on JDC and gets the pin. That's fine. And then post-match, this is really where it shines. Moose attacks the Hardys. Santana makes a save. Myers and Edwards comes out. Joe Hendry comes out to a big pop, beats down the system, all four of them, and it's going to be an 8-man tag at Emergence. It's been announced. The system take on Joe Hendry, Santana, and the Hardys. If you want to keep Joe Hendry fresh for his match the day or two later that I can never remember at the NXT PLE where he's in the main event, an 8-man tag is a pretty good way to do that.
You have him come in with the hot tag. You protect him pretty much the whole match. I will say this post-match, the match itself was fine. Let me say the Hardys were working a lot stiffer. I will say that I've noticed a difference in Matt's moveset, and I respect it. I respect the crap out of it because Jeff is like, I see you, older, younger brother, but I'm still swanton diving. I respect it. I was expecting Joe Hendry to come out the whole time. All I kept saying was, where's Joe Hendry? And then Mike Santana, because I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But where's Joe Hendry? So I don't know how this is going to work out. The 8-man tag is going to be fantastic because you said it's Joe Hendry, Mike Santana, and the Hardys versus the system. So that's going to be fun. System era chance. I can't wait. Alicia's she's gonna get involved. I can't wait for someone to accidentally or on purpose spear her. It's going to be great.
Matt Hardy's going to spear Lish.
The Matt Hardy's wife, what they call the Ice Devil, whatever it is, she's gonna come out with the twist of fate on her, and that'll be really funny. I love Rebby Hardy. Y'all can't make me hate her.
I think it's more likely Moose does it by accident, and maybe it won't cause a rift in the system, but it'll certainly get people talking. I could see that being the way.
Damn, nah, Moose can't spare Alicia. With all due respect, Moose is that's a freight train. I don't want to. Him and Rhino got the nastiest spears over at TNA. What is a gore? Literally, no thanks.
And that's TNA Impact for August 22nd, 2024. This was, for all intents and purposes, this was a fine show. Again, we have another week of build before Emergence, which is next Friday. The TNA integration's also, the TNA NXT integration is still cool because, again, you've got Joe Hendry.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have he's the number one contender for the TNA title. Sorry, he's the number one contender for the NXT title. I'm going to mess that up a million times more. He's going to be facing All Ego Ethan Page, which I'm looking forward to. And then you've got Wes Lee taking on Zachary Wentz. That hasn't been announced officially, but all eyes seem to be there for the NXT PLE. There's going to be a go-home show for both shows next week. We'll have more to talk about, but Emergence is shaping up, and we're going to have some good crossover conversations to have, right, Cresta?
Absolutely. I will say, sorry, since I'm walking back a lot of statements this week, my initial fear with the WWE TNA, well, specifically the NXT TNA crossover, was I didn't want it to be a feeding frenzy for NXT to just pretty much job out TNA. And I will say this has been mutually beneficial from a fan standpoint. I guess I would be considered an analyst if that's what the kids will say. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I do like the integration. I do like the people that I am seeing. There are storyline links to people who have been in TNA before to NXT. So it's quite interesting and quite nice that they're not acknowledging that this person was in NXT and that this person is now in TNA or vice versa. So I really think that's interesting. I would love to see a moment maybe where you can see a Nick Nemeth and over on NXT as world champion, but I don't know if Josh Alexander's going to let that stand. But I do think that this is quite nice. And I do like the TNA. Like Charlie Dempsey is really, you could tell that's that man's son. He's a good wrestler too. And Tatum Paxley, I legitimately am a fan. She's creepy and I like it. I don't care. She's creepy and I like it.
I'm all for it. Why not?
Yeah, Emergence is going to be really good. I cannot wait. And, TNA is going to put on a solid show. I never am disappointed about the graps in TNA. Sometimes the storyline gets lost on me and I try to make fun where I can. But I know it's going to be a great Emergence and I can't wait for the Go Home show next week. What about you, Joel? What do you think is going to happen at the Go Home show? We're going to just finalize the card?
Oh yeah, we'll finalize the card. Again, everything's been taped. Mm-hmm. There might be a sub out here and there, but I think that we're looking for something good. That match by Elegance, wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be the main event of next week's show. It's going to be a fun match.
It's not on Emergence?
No, because it's the 6-woman tag in Emergence. Yeah, this is the blow off knockouts tag match, or sorry, knockouts title match between.
I thought this was a title match. Okay.
No, so the 6-woman match at Emergence, that's Spitfire and Jordan Grace taking on Masha Lisha and Ash by Elegance for some reason. But no, they're gonna blow off the knockouts feud, I guess, the title feud.
Match by Elegance. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I have no other words besides I can't wait. This is the most I've been excited for at Ash by Elegance, so I'm running with it. I don't care. I'm running with it.
Hey, that's fine. I'm glad somebody's excited for a match by Elegance. She had a good match at Slammiversary. We talked about it in our post show. A really solid match. It just didn't need to be what it was. And yeah, like someone's saying in the chat, the 6-woman tag is basically to just get to Masha Lisha versus Spitfire.
Yeah, and I think whenever that does happen, I feel confident in saying that Masha Lisha will drop the titles because I think there's a system error in our definite future.
Absolutely, but there's no error with Cresta Star, who's got plenty happening this week and weekend. What's going on?
You guys are fantastic. I love you all in a platonic type of way. But every Thursdays and Saturdays, you can catch me here on Fightful. Thursdays, I'm here with your bestest, freshest Joel Pearl. That's not a word, but I made it up. And we go over all things TNA on Saturdays. I am here with Iridian and Rick sometimes. I mean, Rick is out here. He's doing real life things. We cover Collision. I'm going to be live on my personal channel this Sunday for All In. I am also live on my personal channels on Wednesdays for AEW Dynamite, and that's Cresta Star, twitch.tv or TikTok. I got other things going on, but I don't know. Every time I announce something, I jinx it. So I'm just... What you got going on, Joe Pearl? Oh, if you can't find me, I'm Cresta Star everywhere. And on Twitter, it's Cresta the Star. There's a link tree in my bio. Joe Pearl, where can they find you?
I'm easy to find. I'm at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl, if you want to find me. I don't know why you would. Meanwhile, I am in the weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 a.m. Eastern until noon. Jeremy Lambert and I are constantly talking about what's going on in wrestling in and out of the ring. This week, or say tomorrow, actually, if you're listening live, here's your scoop. Cam Hawkins, now Complex, I guess the Ringer. Cam's everywhere, but Cam's going to join us to talk about his latest one with Swerve and SP3, who you saw earlier on the Ring of Honor post show. He's going to be filling in for Jeremy Lambert. Jeremy's going to join the first hour, and then it's going to be SP3 and I. It's going to be a mishmash. Tomorrow's a big party. Cole Radrick's going to join us as well because the Schmitty is tomorrow. Go check that out in Spencer, Indiana, if you're around that part of the world. Until then, for Cresta Star, I am at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye.